Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda.
Well, decode the disinformation and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Yeah. This is America Unplugged. That's my best attempt at trying to complete that. What's going on? Happy Labor Day weekend. Hope you guys take it easy. Make some hot dogs. Hot dogs are good. I mean, you shouldn't eat them all the time, but they're good. And get some hamburgers. Nothing healthy. Throw it all out the window. I don't want to see any greens, no vegetables, none of that nonsense. All right. It's all red meat and cheese and bacon if you eat it. All right. Beers and weed, I endorse. You know, I don't do that personally, but if you want to, I'm very happy about it. I do iced tea. You know, it is what it is. Very unhealthy. So let's do that on Labor Day. Enjoy yourselves. Take it easy. You deserve it. I am here with the legendary usual suspects, ladies and gents. Mr. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Get a good look. Look at the beard. Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
This is grown from beef and cheese.
Damn right.
And weed and beer. It's all that stuff's in my beard. Like, you should take a sample. Maybe we could send it off and see just how much of your endorsed products are in my hair.
Fantastic, brother. How you doing? What's up?
It's good to be back. I'm sorry I missed last week.
We all missed last week, man. I missed last week too. I had no internet, but go ahead.
I went to the World's Fair of Money last week with Yeka, who works for me, and this is my head trader. We went there to look at all the coins and all the new. They launched the Oklahoma Gold back, so gold notes we put into Wolfpack. A lot of fun. Beans went. She was a big hit there in Oklahoma City. So that was fun. I had to miss Unplugged though, and I'm sorry.
It was good though. Go to the World Fair. I'd love to go to the World Fair. Isn't there supposed to be another World Fair? Trump said that that was a part of what he was doing, that he was going to bring back the World Fair. I want to go to that. I would think that would be dope, you know. And even though we don't have a Nikola Tesla here, they say Elon Musk is the closest, and that's really bad. Like
that's right.
But I'd like to go to the World Fair. Mr. Don Jeffries, the legendary. Show them your shirt. Show them your fits this week. They want to know. Look at that. Look at that. Tell them what's up, sir.
Another World Fair. They'd have to show old clips of the other World Fairs about all the great things that were going to happen before 2025, and haven't happened. You know, it's fair now. They would predictions about childhood cancer rates will stop going up quite so much every year, and we may go back to the moon by 2100, you know, or something like that. Do something. I don't know, but yeah, it's good to be back with you guys. Sorry I missed my show yesterday. I know a lot of you were asked me about it, so it's good to know. Sorry to disappoint you. We'll be back next week, though.
Well, you know, RFK Jr. says they're going to solve autism next month. Ladies and gents, next month we will have that's in a couple of days, actually. So in a couple of days, no more autism. They're going to take care of it. That's going to be very interesting to see what the hell kind of nonsense they come up with. But hey, here we are in America 3.0. Have we graduated, Don? It's no longer 2.0, right? It's 3.0.
Yeah, I probably should start doing that. Yeah,
America 3.0. And we are breaking it down like nobody's business. Tony Arterburn, you had something you wanted to talk about. Well, we can start off with talking about Donald Trump is dead and Blue Anon, right? Like the internet in particular on the left was running around saying that Donald Trump was dead. And I was like, oh, here we go with these new doctors, right? Everybody's a doctor now. It's like, oh, he's got a freaking spot on his hand. He does. It's freaking weird, but old people get that, right? You know, so who knows? They're like, he's gonna die. He's got 6 months to live, 8 months to live. I mean, we'll see. It'd be something if Joe Biden outlives Donald Trump. All right, just saying. But it doesn't look like that's happening. He was gone for about 3 or 4 days. Nobody knew where he was, and everybody was speculating that he was dead. Like, Donald Trump is dead or he's dying, and that's why he hasn't come. Well, he's playing golf today, right now, as we speak, in his Make America Great Again red hat and a white polo, the uniform that he uses when he plays golf. So he's out there, doing his thing. Is Donald Trump dying? Tony Arterburn, you are not a doctor. We are not handing out medical advice, but still, we need to answer these questions. What's up, sir?
Well, presidents have always hid their health from the public. Grover Cleveland famously went and had cancer cut out of his throat on a yacht. So no one knew that he was having surgery. And of course, Woodrow Wilson is probably the most famous example. He wasn't even cognizant for the last year or so of his presidency. His wife, Edith Wilson, ran the White House. We've actually had a woman president. She signed documents as him. He got back from Paris after the so-called peace, the Carthaginian peace, if you want to call it that, in World War I, where we set the stage for World War II. And he got back and he had a stroke. And so I think it was like another year that he wasn't cognizant of anything. And then Reagan was another example, and got shot in 1981 and was out for a long time. I mean, they would roll him out and prop him up, but mostly it was his vice president or his staff that was running things for a while. So it's probably nothing new. There was that weird image of Trump with his ankle. Did you see that? Where one of his ankles was really big?
Both of them are freaking gigantic.
I mean, 12 Diet Cokes a day. Like, if I had a button on my desk that I could push and a Diet Coke showed up, I mean, I wouldn't drink it. I don't know. That sounds like a weird, like something that would happen on Saw. Like if you were like a horror film, like if I had to drink Diet Cokes and press the button or something like that would be a punishment for me. But he doesn't, he likes meatloaf, and he likes not the singer, the meal. That's what he says his favorite meal is. He likes meatloaf, and he likes his Diet Cokes. So the
McDonald's.
Hey, by the way, he's near 80?
Yeah. I think he's 78 or something.
79.
Yeah. I mean, so it's a 70 for some reason in this country, and it looks like, Billy, get ready for this. Looks like that Gen X is going to be the other generation that America skipped. There's only one generation in American history so far, all throughout the history of America, that never had a president. Okay, and that's called the silent generation. Those are the people that were born in the early 1930s into the 1940s. They would fight in the Korean War, which is the forgotten war. Interesting, but they were called the silent generation. You always hear about Tom Brokaw called it the greatest generation, World War II. And it looks like those were the first people not to have a president. So like we had the greatest generation presidents. You had the baby boomer presidents, which is still Trump. You had, Clinton, Bush, and I think Obama's baby boomer. So all those are boomers. Yeah. And so Gen X is going to get skipped over too. So congratulations, Billy. We're the second generation in American history that's not going to have a president. It looks like it's going to go straight to millennial.
We're not done yet. I don't know. Alive. We can still run you for president.
I think I got some liabilities there. I don't drink enough Diet Coke, I think.
Well, liabilities is a prerequisite for entering that office. So we're good. Let's see what develops. But yeah, man, everybody was going around saying this dude was going to be dead. Listen, man, it just goes to show what the internet will do, and a lot of people that don't have any business making these type of assessments, do it. And then people believe it because they want to believe it. People want to believe that Donald Trump is going to die tomorrow. Like it's going to make a difference. If it'll make some difference, I guess, but then that just means J.D. Vance is in power and Peter Thiel is still in power, and the agenda continues, right? If Donald Trump passes away, but everybody was saying, well, on the left mostly, Donald Trump is dead or he is dying. We give him 6 months, 8 months to live. We talked about this with Don a little bit off air. And I saw several people saying, oh, he's got 8 months. Oh, my husband, somebody was saying my husband is a doctor and he says that he's got 8 months to live. There was another guy there that I don't know if he was a physical therapist or what, but he's like, I deal with heart failure patients all the time. And, it seems as if Donald Trump is going through that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Fact of the matter is he's alive and he's playing golf right now. And while I think he's going through some serious mental decline, he's been doing that for a long, long time. He has incredible energy. Donald Trump is always getting up and doing something. He's playing golf all the time, like for a 78-year-old, right? I guess that must count for something, some type of health. I don't know. I've never played golf in my life, so I don't. Well, that's a lie. I played miniature golf several times, but actual golf, never. Don Jeffries is gone. I was going to go to him, but do you think, I mean, he's back. Hold on. What's going on here? There he is.
He's back.
Say something, sir.
It just suddenly said your device is I don't know. It said needs to restart. And boom! I heard this noise, and I don't know. They screw with me so much. I don't know what's going on. Back.
So, do you think Donald Trump is dying, sir?
If he did, it wouldn't be that much of a shock. He's 79 and overweight and drinks 12 Diet Cokes a day, supposedly. I don't know, but our friend Australian Ben, who's nice to see in the chat room, asked me if what would this mean for the Trumpenstein project. It's a good question, because you figure the Trumpenstein project has been scripted out with some kind of conclusion, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, but I think they've probably been factored that in, knowing his age, that okay, he may not be able to fulfill all his obligations under the Trumpenstein project. So I'm sure they have something, whether it's J.D. Vance or whatever, that'll come in. And J.D. Vance is going to have some big shoes to fill if that happens, because he's nothing like Trump. He's articulate and very slick. And, Trump is this kind of, what Trump is. I don't think they can find another person that can play Trump's role. So I have no idea. I've always said I don't know what the end game is here. I really don't. Obviously, nothing's going to get better. But we'll see. And I got to tell you, if something happens to Trump, it's going to be the first time in American history. I don't know, maybe if Nixon had died in 73, maybe we would have seen a little something like it. But Nixon didn't come close to having the kind of hostility that millions of people have for him. You would have celebrations probably in the streets. You'd have social media, all the people that hate him. And of course, the MAGA people would be obviously distraught and want to name all kinds of stuff after him like they did Reagan. So it wouldn't be the kind of state funeral you'd see for any other president. It would be, amazing. But again, that's what you get with a personality like his.
Yeah, I'd have to break out the camera and do some live reporting from the streets of New York if that ever happens, bro. Let me tell you. I remember when Obama won, the first time when he won, people broke out in the streets and started running. Like just in celebration because he had won, and I knew people that thought that Obama was going to give them jobs and change things for them and all this other stuff. They were like, oh, everything changes at this moment for us, So that happened with Obama. Imagine what's going to happen with Donald Trump when he passes away. So, hey, he's still alive, ladies and gents. It's all good. We got some more entertainment, if you want to call it that. If our descent into tyranny and authoritarianism is entertaining to you, he's still around. So we have that. Somebody asked you a question, Tony, and I want to get it for you before we move on to our next topic. Brian said, didn't J.D. Vance say something about taking over for Trump? He absolutely did. They asked him the question and he said, I'm ready. I am ready to take over. I want to be the president of the United States. It's the only reason I am here, because Peter Thiel told me I needed to be, and he's been giving me a ton of money. So here I am, and maybe I'll become president if this guy passes away, whom I can't stand, but I stroke him every second that I can, because that's what happens nowadays. There was somebody that was asking you a question. Did you read it, Tony? I'll put it on.
No, what was where is it?
There it is. Oh, yeah. Do you think New Jersey will ever have gold backs? Okay. And Nancy Chambers.
Oh, Nancy. I don't know. All these states are finally, Florida's got a gold back now, Nevada, Utah, New Hampshire. There's a great many of them. And then there's other manufacturers are just distributing them privately. Goldbacks are really cool. If you buy them in small increments and these kind of dollar cost average, that's a 24 karat gold note. And you can authenticate them fairly easily. So we put those in Wolfpack. I'm a fan of goldbacks. You definitely wouldn't want to spend a bulk amount on goldbacks, but small amounts, just kind of dollar cost averaging, stacking up. I think those are good. But New Jersey, I have not heard of anything with New Jersey, but I wouldn't be surprised. New Jersey doesn't seem exactly aligned with some of these other states as far as, deregulation and using gold and silver as legal tender yet, but you never know. We're entering a de-dollarization phase where all this is going to change. So anything's on the table.
All right. What do we got, Tony? You wanted to speak about something that you said was on Activist Post. What's going on?
Yeah, interesting. Over on Charlie Robinson's website, Activist Post, this caught my eye this morning, and he reposted something from Michael Schneider. Let me put it up on the screen. 1 second. I'm on my laptop. That's why we're having all these. That's why our audio visual department is doing so stellar, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still on my laptop, and I've been traveling, but I'm fixing this. I'm making some changes. 78% of HR leaders in the U.S. say that their companies are conducting serial layoffs, and we are being warned that a major cost of living shock is coming. This is, of course, by Michael Schneider over at the Economic Collapse blog. But I thought 78% of human resource leaders in the U.S. say that their companies are conducting serial layoffs. How's that?
Nice.
How's that economy doing there, Don?
That's survival of the richest right up there. And amazing. It's just, I don't know. The UBI is unavoidable.
Oh.
I guess this is all part of that. That's what because I mean, if everybody's being laid off, they're not really deporting anybody. Trump wants to allow 300,000 Chinese students into America somehow. And, they're probably going to stay there for jobs. I mean, how is that America first? We probably could talk about that, but artificial intelligence, all the stuff that's going on that's going to take jobs away. And we're not building industry. We may have tariffs, but we don't have any domestic industry. We're doing it Trumpenstein style. Let's put tariffs on foreign products when we have no domestic products to compete with them. So, that makes a lot of sense. But so, they're doing everything they can for the Republicans may oppose, and they will oppose the universal basic income, but it's going to be either that or, I don't know, millions, I guess, sleeping in the streets. I don't know what you'll have, but that's 78%, man. That would have been a stat that would have fit in Survival of the Richest. But since I wrote that book, that's 7 years ago, maybe something like that. And obviously things have just deteriorated. Things have not gotten better, but it's just, and you wouldn't expect it to necessarily under Trump. When Trump talked that populist stuff and about the trade deals, you thought there might have been some kind of good effect from that, but obviously there hasn't been.
Goldman Sachs laid off a bunch of people recently. This is a thing. It's a trend that's going on. I think this article is somewhat accurate on what's going on around the nation with jobs. Yeah, UBIs are definitely coming, and people will accept them gladly because it is what it is. Illegal immigrants are being deported. Don, they are absolutely being deported. Maybe not at the number that you would want. But they're absolutely being deported. There's been over a million self-deportations because people are scared as hell. And that, whether you like it, people in the United States, the MAGA types, the cult members, they enjoy the cruelty and all the stuff that's going on in the United States, with the illegal immigrants. Well, this is inevitably going to affect your pockets too. It's that is going to affect the economy, or is already affecting the economy negatively, not positively. We're not looking good here. And it hasn't been looking good for quite some time. But like I said, and I've said many times in the past, Trump has slapped a rocket ship to everything you thought was bad. So it's going to be an issue. And then there's the AI who is just eliminating jobs, and not only that, it's eliminating humans. People are marrying their freaking AI robots now. In Japan, somebody just married an AI robot, so this is a thing. It's a danger. I think the fork in the road, we've chosen where we were going to go, and now we got to deal with it. but absolutely, the UBI is coming, and there will be strings attached to it. You're just not going to receive this money. But the future does not need you, right? It doesn't. We have to make it need us, right? We have to fight within this machine and make it need us, because they're doing everything possible to continue the disparity of wealth, to continue the wealth. The hoarding of the wealth in the less than 1%. And they will continue to take and take and take. They don't care about you. They've never cared about you. They only care about themselves. And this is showing it, that, they're being laid off. And of course, it's a consequence. They need to do these things in order to stay in business, right? Because of how bad things are. But who ends up paying for all of this? Us, the people, the worker. Very ironic, that on Labor Day, we're seeing this, so
yes,
let's get ready. What's up, Tom?
I think we should go back to the Twilight Zone era of calling them robots. I like robots better than robot. It's more classical. I think it's it's less intimidating in a way that you. Yeah, because you think of robot, you think of the Terminator, like it's the T-1000. That's what I think about, or the Model 1, Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. The T-1000 was liquid metal. That's me getting very specific.
Right.
But you're right about the AI and jobs. This was something I've been thinking about all week, just because this is how my brain works. But I was thinking about the deindustrialization of America, everything that happened post 1973. So last year we ran a trade surplus. The Trilateral Commission was formed. We'd opened China. We went off the gold standard, and it's just been a slow transfer of wealth away from the middle class, or what you would think of as, the working populace of the United States. And it's been stripped away from us over time. So it's like boiling a frog. It's not overnight, but it's like the long arc of history there with NAFTA and GATT, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, all that stuff that happened, the deindustrialization. And then you add in all these big pushes of fiat currency, where we went into a consumptive, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's like we started just loaning out trillions of dollars, okay? And that's how we created this fluff economy. It's not really built on anything. We have zombie corporations that are left over from 2008. They're propped up by the central bank still. They don't really make anything. They don't really make a profit. But they just can't go out of business. All this structural stuff that is dead. It's fruit of a poisonous tree that's happened since we hollowed out America. So a lot of these, the majority of people that have been told, learn to code. Well, they learned to code, and now AI is going to do that. So all the focus on going to college and getting a loan, which is a big grift, get further into debt. And the industry that you went into, thought this was going to be secure, is not going to be there. However, the South Park did a great take on this a while ago, but it was, if you want to look at the future, if you're a young person, or even if you just want to start over, AI can't do your plumbing. AI can't do your work on your electrical. AI can't do your HVAC system. None of that is possible. There's still a lot of opportunity to work on infrastructure of things that make things work here, like your house, your business, the construction. All that stuff is still a viable industry, and can probably pay more and more as time goes on, and more things are automated. So that's still on the table. But you are right. UBI, I agree with, and which is basically the goal here. And if I will say something about illegal immigration, I don't celebrate people being deported back or anything to work from their country of origin. They were invited here. I blame the powers that be, and especially in places like Texas, I blame the Republican Party. Because they've been running on doing something about the border since I was a little boy, and they've never done it, even though they've been in power. So I blame them when I look at and I see their two-faced stance on all this with their relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody just looked the other way for a long time, and it became a systemic, malignant problem. And now I don't believe that there's mass deportations, and you mentioned the self-deportations. But this is a national security issue, not on just the level of, 1 in 12 or so, according to old statistics, have a criminal record of people that are illegally coming here. And that's not even besides that. But you're right about the AI. When so many jobs are lost and unemployment spikes, to levels possibly beyond what the Great Depression was. You have a civil unrest issue. We don't need more people in that way. It's just it's not feasible. It's something that I think that we're going to have to deal with, because AI is going to replace a lot of these menial kind of just the drone type jobs supporting in these offices and stuff. People are going to be looking for work. It's not a good fit, especially with technology.
I would challenge that, unless I misunderstood you, Tony. I would challenge that 1 in 12 illegal immigrants have criminal records. That's incredibly wrong. But I'm open to looking.
It's an old statistic. It's probably 20 years old, so I don't know if it
was probably wrong then. In my opinion, this is like a giant campaign to get people to hate, pointing fingers at things to rationalize the decline of the country, to rationalize the imbalance or potential, to rationalize that a certain group of people are losing their grip on something. This is what it's. So it's like, hey, it's these illegal immigrants. When in all actuality, it's the disparity between rich and poor. That's what I think they're trying to cover up for ultimately. And they throw race in there, and they throw sex in there, and all these other stuff to get you to not realize that it's these freaking people that are hoarding money and don't give a damn about you. Well, that's my, what's up, Don? You were going to say something.
No, you're right. I agree with that part of it. But we disagree on the immigration part, because as I wrote in Survival of the Richest, these people that are coming are being exploited. They've always been exploited, but you can't have a situation where we already have so many poor people that are born here in Appalachia and all these inner cities, the trailer parks, all these people that can't make ends. 72% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And I don't know what the figure was before the illegal immigrant explosion, but it probably wasn't great then. And 70-some% again don't have a $500 for an emergency in saves, have no savings. So obviously already they're losing. The bottom 50% has less than 1% of the collective wealth, makes less than $28,000 a year. All the stats are in the book. The last thing you need when you're creating this situation is to keep importing people that are poorer than them, that have even less. And that's what they've done. And so what happens, and then they use those people to shame us. So they say, well, hey, come on, man, I gave Jose $10 and he's working all day. Why can't you be satisfied with that? That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing the jobs Americans won't do. Not for those kind of, because we never had to do it for them. The last thing, as Tony points out, we already have not enough opportunities for people here. And what has happened, they have used people, and they've used the race. It's no accident that they're importing they mostly non-whites here, because they can use that to their advantage, and people are going to respond that way differently than if it was maybe a bunch of French Canadians. I don't know. And the English language, the language barrier is encouraged. The illegal immigrants didn't come up and put up those signs in Florida and Texas and everywhere else in Spanish. They didn't demand that ballots be bilingual. That's all white people that did that. And they did it for a reason, because they want the divisiveness. If you can't speak the same language, obviously it's going to be even harder to get along. And you're right. It's going to be impossible to join hands and look at the common enemy that is exploiting them and has been making our standard of living fall, because that's what happens when you have a group of people that come to the immigrants back 100 some years ago. They were coming not necessarily from such desperate circumstances, but they were coming here because they thought, well, I could really make something of myself. America's the land of opportunity, and it was somewhat that, at least. Now it's not the land of opportunity anymore, and the people that are coming here are from, I don't know what their circumstances were, but when they come here, their standard of living is raised. So if they just get cable TV and air conditioning, and they have all the food opportunities, that's a huge upgrade in the standard of living for them. But what's happening to the people that are already here? Their standard of living is, again, most of us, the standard of living is going down. My kids are going to have a lower standard of living than I had. Their kids level, and that's like Ross Perot said, we're the first generation in history where our children are going to have a lower standard of living than us, and that's shameful. And immigration has, again, it's not the immigrants themselves, because they're coming here to try to make something of themselves, and I guess they've improved their lives. I don't know. We don't talk to them, but I would wonder at what point they realize, damn, I mean, how many generations of us can come in and just jump on the lawn crew? I mean, at some point, you would think you'd want opportunities yourself. I don't see what opportunities they're getting, but if you want to ever have a middle class again, they have to do, because these people are being used to create the third world. And that's the way it is in the third world. Everybody's kind of peasants, and you have an elite at the top that captures all the wealth. And that's exactly what's happened. You already had the disparity of wealth, but since the 80s, and that coincides with when illegal immigrants really started crossing over the border, strangely, that was always open. That's when you really started seeing this disparity like it has. And now to the point where you have half the country that has nothing. You can't possibly have a first world economy when half your citizens don't have any savings, don't make enough to live independently anywhere. That's shameful. It really is.
All right. Well, I would just point at the obvious division here. You can keep pointing at not you, Don. I'm talking in generalities here with the people of the United States. You can keep pointing at the illegal immigrants like it's the problem. It's not going to fix your situation. It's not. Look at me when I'm talking to you. It's not going to fix your situation. When you get all these people out of here, it's not going to fix your situation, because that's not the root of the problem. It's not. The hypocrisy in this country is incredible. And there's a couple of things, and I love this country. I love what it's been able to do for my people, my family, and I'm eternally grateful for it. And I'd seek to protect that and keep that as the leader of the free world. Supposedly, this is what I've been indoctrinated to believe all my life, living here, right? So I'd like to protect that. But what's happened here in the United States is a lack of education. People have no idea what the hell's going on. They don't have any idea what's going on with their government. They don't have any idea how their government should work. And a lot of these people, like Don kind of alluded to, Americans are spoiled to the point that we don't appreciate certain things, and we think some things that should be handed to us. This generation of Americans, the next generation, like Don said, that they may not have the same living standard that Don had. Don had it pretty good, I think, better than us. I think, Tony.
Absolutely, yes, yep, right. Absolutely, no question.
Which is dope. That's what we want. I'm going to make sure that my kids have a better living standard than I did. I'm going to make sure of it. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the thing for the rest of the nation. I understand what you're saying, Don, right? I had a better living standard than my parents did. Thank the Lord. Not that it's a lot more, but it's more. It's grown, and I'm eternally grateful for it. But the hypocrisy of the United States is incredible to me. Everybody's like, "Oh, get these immigrants out." Where'd you come from? What's your last name?
What's your last name? To that, so Billy, I think the United States, far and away, of all the nations on earth, treats illegal immigrants the best. No other nation.
Well, yes, I would agree with you up until very recently. Yes, but I would agree with you 100%.
I think that's still there hasn't been like the however 20 million or 30 million. They're still here. Like nobody's gone. I mean, there's a certain amount that's gone. You talked about the self-deportations. I'd like to see those metrics. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure that is happening. By the way, as the consequences of our decades-long fiat currency experiment starts to really kick in, and you see less and less economic opportunity because of the collapse of the dollar and de-dollarization, all that may come to pass in that form. Let's talk, if we have a dollar collapse, there will be millions of people that deport. And so the Deagle report may be true, where there's only 90 million people here or some crazy number by 2030. Who knows? But I think just as a whole, there's nobody that treats illegal immigrants better than the United States of America. It's not even a close second. anywhere. Like you try to go illegally into China, good luck. You're going to end up in that bodies exhibit that floats around the United States. You can go look and see how the human body's made. That's a lot of those, like, dissidents and stuff.
That's really dope. I like that exhibit.
That's a lot. Those are China. A lot of those people are Chinese dissidents and people that screwed with the government. And the same thing with South America.
Know that. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, they are, brother. Look it up. The same thing with South America. They're very cruel to people from other parts that that they share the same. There's racially equivalent and all that stuff. It's only us that does this. And again, I am like, as I get older, I become more libertarian because I don't like authoritarianism and I don't like the lurch of the merger of these big tech fascistic companies that want a technocracy and government and power. I start thinking about things like the wall, and I go, I don't want a wall because it's not first of all, it's not necessary, and second of all, walls keep people in. The Soviet Union had a wall, so I'm not for a wall anymore. I don't like that. I don't like the terminology of that. I don't think that it works. I don't think that any of that's feasible, and it screws with the land. You can do a better job just having a system of laws on the books that work. People, especially 1 in 12 people that cross the border illegally may or may not have a criminal record, but everybody who crosses the border illegally committed a crime. At some level, that's true. I mean, it's not a heinous offense.
Tony, the thing is we know what we're talking about when we're talking about crime here. This is moving the goalpost, and I'm not saying that that's what you're doing. Okay, I'm saying that that's what's been done, because when we were talking about crime, when Donald Trump was running for office, it was, these people are pedophiles. They're sex traffickers. They're gun runners. They're thieves. They're murderers. Colombia unloaded, or Venezuela unloaded their prison population in here. Their jails are empty. Right. So sure, we can lower the bar and that's what has happened as a result of what's going on. They're like, everybody's a criminal because they came in here illegally, thus they are made criminals. That's not what was discussed. That's lowering the goalpost here for what the criminality of these people is. OK, and that needs to be made clear. As far as the numbers for the self-deportation, I got that from Donald Trump, so that might be wrong. I got that. He said that crap.
This president said, no, what Tony's saying is, if you're going to have, again, we can just enter a world government and eliminate all borders, but the definition of a sovereign nation, you have to have borders. And our southern border has been open for 40 some years. And, you talked about the Colombian, whether it's true that Colombia, emptied their prisons.
Venezuela,
my answer to
not.
that,
Sorry.
Venezuela, if anybody emptied their prisons, my question to the American officials would be, then why did you let them in? How did you not stop them? This is the problem. How did they not step any of it? This is a huge conspiracy that it could, as Tony said, these people didn't let themselves in. They don't need a wall there. You just need security. Chris Buchan came up with the suggestion that I've said a million times. Just bring all those troops home from the 150 countries around the world that you take a fraction of them and put them along the border. It should have been a long time ago. And nobody will get across. They're just going to come and, blow their way past our army? I don't think so. And that'd be one actually constitutional use for troops. We're not using them constitutionally anywhere else. Hasn't been done. And again, this is all the onus of this always. It's just like, when I talk about black fatigue or ghetto culture and that stuff, I just blame black people. This is the culture at large, the powers that be enabled it, built it, encourage it, and don't, hold it accountable. It's the same thing here. None of those people, these are desperately poor people. How can they possibly, come in and circumvent a system if it's effective? It's purposely not effective. It was effective for a long time. The last person who knew somebody was Eisenhower. That's where he got the term wetbacks, when he sent them back across the water. And people still use that term. But Donald Trump has done nothing. He has kind of done some frightening things where he alludes to police state stuff and maybe some of them abuse and all. No, none of us support that. But there ought to be a way to do it. But first of all, and you get the self-deportation, first of all, where you take away any government, but you tie all government benefits to citizenship status. So if someone is not here legally, you can't get government benefits. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. That's the first thing you do. Then you roll back to get the Supreme Court to look again at the 1980-some decision under Reagan that allowed all children, no matter if their parents came here illegally, to get a free public education. No, why should that be? I mean, again, if you don't want them here illegally, if you want here illegally, then just scrap ICE, scrap the immigration department, because our taxes are paying for it, and obviously I don't know what they're paying for because we're not getting anything out of it. So just do that and just eliminate borders and say we're not a sovereign nation anymore because we don't guard our borders. And I just look at it like that. It's got nothing to do with hating people or who's coming. The reason non-whites are coming here is because that suits their purpose. That's what they want, because that's going to create more division than if you had a bunch of white French Canadians coming in here. People would look at it completely differently, especially if they could speak English or were encouraged to speak English, as all immigrants prior to this flood for the last 40 years have been on. It's definitely as Mohawk White woman says, it's on purpose. This is absolutely on purpose. There's nothing random about this. All it was planned. Started with the 1965 Immigration Reform Act, where they flipped policy and they said everybody that comes in here is going to be non-European, which made no sense at all. There's a bunch of white men that did this, and then it just kept up with the Vietnamese boat people. And somebody pointed out in the chat about our foreign policy has a lot to do with it. Absolutely. We keep going in these countries and wreaking havoc and doing things we shouldn't be doing. And then we take their migrants in after we've destroyed them. So it's just, again, this is not a question of leadership. We just need if you had rational people in charge, this would be solved. The problem would be solved, and it wouldn't be solved the way Trumpenstein might be trying to do it. Terrorize people. We're not going to terrorize children or anything like that. But we have to get control of the problem. Well, I mean, maybe you pay some kind of reparations, but we're not doing that.
No, we don't want that. So to be clear, and anybody that's listened to America Unplugged for an extended period of time should know my position on this. We need better immigration laws. We need to have an orderly process. That needs to happen, right? You can't just let anybody in here at any point just cause. That's always been my position. But once I start talking about other things like saying we need to be humane and what's going on is crazy and how it's going to affect the economy, people are like, oh my God, what is he talking about? No. Right?
No, you're right.
What needs to happen here is we need to stop demonizing these people. By demonizing is where we fuel the division here, and we dehumanize a group of people that are human just like you and I. And there's a reason why they're coming here. Several reasons, and some of them are good. They wanted to come here because the United States was supposed to be the land that was paved. The streets were paved with gold. The land of opportunity. Everybody wanted to come here. We want that. We want to be that. And then there needs to be an orderly process as to who we let in and when. Yeah. Cool with that, 100%, right? But when they start saying all of these people are criminals, all of these people are invaders, all of these people mean to take over your country, Sharia law, all of this other nonsense, that they're still talking about Sharia law today.
Yes.
So when they start saying that, that's a means to divide. It's a means to weaponize a narrative in order to get us at each other's throats and to win elections, to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean there aren't bad apples. There are bad apples everywhere, right? And those people should be gone. They should not be here. You're not going to find many people that are going to say, no, we got to leave the criminals here. Yeah, sure, we want the drug traffickers in the country. Sure. Yeah, sure, we want pedophiles in here from another country. No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. It doesn't make sense. But that's what they would have you believe, that all of these people are evil and they seek to destroy the country and they seek to divide. And then they put the race issue in there. They're going to mess up your bloodline. They're going to mess up your what is it? What's it called? The Great Replacement Theory, which is total nonsense. I know you somewhat subscribe to that, Don, but there is no proof of any. I mean, complete and total nonsense. Regardless.
Well, no, but again, when you're looking at it again, you're looking at it again. I'm telling you that these just like the blacks and the colds, they have nothing to do with any of this, other than they're just doing it. But white people, and we know a certain subset of 2%ers that people are talking about have wildly disproportionate power and are behind almost all of this stuff. When you do a little scratching, they're the ones who you look at to blame. I'm not blaming any immigrants. Again, these people, every immigrant that I meet, most of them are very nicer than most Americans nowadays, and I feel sorry for them. But the problem is their president. If you, however many are here, I don't know. We don't even know. It says 20, 30, 40, 50 million. I don't know. But if all of them were gone tomorrow, what would happen? Corporate America would have to face the reality. Well, I don't know. God, what are we going to do? How are we going to have this landscaping and these lawn crews and all the other jobs that they do? And a lot of them are being paid under the table. They can't do that with American citizens. So they would have to figure, well, you know what, Tony can talk better about this because he knows I don't trust the marketplace. I think it's completely rigged and corrupt. But if there's any validity to the marketplace, that means, okay, we've lost a lot of our workforce here that we were exploiting and paying nothing and giving them no benefits at all. Gosh, we're going to have to pay. We can't say they're just doing the jobs Americans won't do anymore because they're not here. So now I guess Americans have to do these jobs. I don't know if you guys read that story, but they supposedly, again, both sides can use this story to their benefit, because so it could easily be bullshit. But they supposedly went through a restaurant or a store or something, and every employee there was illegal or something, I heard. And this was a while back. And so they got rid of them all. And then supposedly they had a line around the building within hours for people applying for those jobs. Is that true? I don't know. I think this is a lot of demonization on American workers, and people call them snowflakes, and they're living in their parents' basement. There's some of those, but what are they paying? They're not going to work for what these guys work for, and that's they've used it, they've exploited, and it's absolutely right. It's no mistake that they're not white, that they're non-white, because they can exploit that. Somebody in here said that they need to import more Catholics. Well, pretty much all the Hispanics are Catholics. And that's where the left is running into trouble, because their cultural agenda is not going to work with Hispanics, because they're very pro-family, they're very pro-life and all that stuff. They're certainly not going to jump on the transgender bandwagon. But what the hell? Jackson D. Barrett says Don never knows what is true in his own stories. What the hell are you going on? What are you talking about, Jackson? I thought I was your hero. Don never knows what is true in his own stories. Oh, well.
These people in the chat, bro.
Everybody go out and get a copy of Jackson's books. It's called Hidden History. Oh, wait, that's Don.
These people in the chat, man, that talk all the race crap, bro, they can't be taken seriously for anything. And unfortunately, Jackson is one of those guys. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I think we're obviously we're talking about the things that are kind of window dressing at this level. I mean, illegal immigration is a symptom of a greater plan. You can talk about, I don't know if I would call it the Great Replacement, but I definitely say it's on purpose. This is a mass scale of migration never seen before in human history. Total civilizations are being upended. I mean, there's more people that go to mosque on Friday in England, in London, than go to church on Sunday. That's one of the birthplaces of modern Christendom, and it's gone. It's leaving. The number one baby name in England and London is Muhammad. Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I saw was it Superbad? Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
McLovin?
Yeah.
And that whole scene, and when he like, you picked the name McLovin, and he goes, it was between that and Muhammad. And he goes, Muhammad, what? And he goes, Muhammad is the most used name in the world, you idiot.
Yeah, that's right.
Hilarious. Like, guy, buddy.
It's true.
I just saw that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's true. And I think we look at what's happened to this country, and I think you're so right, Billy. Okay, let's just take a step. You're right about who gets blamed. Remember, they had that kid that was showing you how to exploit housing as an illegal immigrant, how you could squat there and you couldn't get kicked out. And then he went viral. They pushed that. So you're blaming so the you whip up the conservative base or the MAGA or the whatever, the so-called right, and they go, look at what those criminals are doing, and it's their fault. And right, this is how illegal immigrants are. No, they're being invited by mega corporations, banking consortiums, politicians, and lizard people. And this is a plan to create all this stuff that we're having now. Because you can't look, and even from a humanitarian standpoint, have you ever seen you should watch this, Billy. It'd blow your mind. It's called Gumball Immigration. They take a professor,
yes,
does metrics on Numbers USA, and shows you what immigration looks like using gumballs. And if the way to help people is we'd have to have some semblance of stability and economic prosperity here so we can export it, kind of like JFK did with the Peace Corps. That's what we have to have rule of law. But what we end up doing is we have this manufactured division, and you've mentioned it, because I mean, you want some hardworking people to get some stuff done, you go get one of these crews for the most part. And because that's what we've done for decades. And some of it is because we've priced people out, so the younger people that have grown up here, they don't take those jobs. They don't pay enough, or they go into some other industry that's about to be wiped out for the most part because of things like AI. So there's just a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the next 10 years. It's going to be like an accelerated consequence of all the things that have happened before. But I don't blame the people that they're being weaponized. They're giving instructions. They're giving debit cards. They're showing where to go. And then when they get here, for all of the past many decades, they're Sherpa'd up to wherever holding facility and then let off into the populace. So there's almost no consequence whatsoever. That's not their fault. But I would say the dereliction of duty, my ire and my disgust goes to the people who actually have any power. Because I promise you, if I was commander in chief or I was running Texas, the people that were trafficking human beings and that were in fatigue pants and running operations on the border would be dead. They would be dead or they'd be detained. I would take care of those people. Those are a threat. That is a clear and present danger to anybody just peacefully living in that area. And we've done an awful, evil thing with the war on drugs. We create this monster. We incentivize this massive cartel system and all this stuff because we're 5% of the world's population and we consume 80% of the world's cocaine. So we have the laws to put what is it, Don? We're 5% of the world's population, and also we have 25% of the world's prisoners. We have a prison profit system. All of it's corrupt. We know that the powers that be, but all this is what we're doing is we're just falling into their trap and saying, well, and Billy's right, and Don's right, and I'm right. Nobody wants what's happened, and especially the people that have made their way here and set up shop here because they were told and incentivized to do so. And now we're supposed to be against it on some surface level thing and not blame the people who actually did it. It's a national security issue for many reasons. And I believe that it is a plan.
So a couple of things on that. Just one thing on that, actually. We need to remember why Muhammad is the biggest name in the UK, you said, right? We need to know that, and that's not because of a massive plan of the elites bringing people over. It's mainly because of colonization. We need to remember the effects of the West, what the United States has done to Central and South America, whether you like it or not. I'm an American. I am not. I'm a Latino American, right? I belong to this country. I can't go to other countries. They won't look at me as if I'm one of them. I am an American. So this is on the people that built this country. This is on, and in essence, on me as a result. What has happened to Central and South America as a result of American foreign policy is atrocious. What has happened to areas in Africa and Asia because of what Britain has done and France and all of these countries of the West is incredible. And that history is recorded, and it's there for anyone to see why these people are there, why there's such a strong presence of people in Britain that weren't originally there. And it comes back to the people that were originally in Britain. They did this for one reason or another. They wanted to colonize the rest of the world. They wanted to make everything belong to them. And people went over there inevitably. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a point that can be debated. This is a fact. This is what went down. Look at what the
You're saying, Billy Ray. I don't know if you're saying they didn't. I mean, Great Britain, and we see it in Ireland. I don't know. The guy stopped coming here, Duke Valentine. I wanted to get him on my show because he's talking about what's going on. I mean, in Ireland has Dublin has a Pakistani man. That's ridiculous, and they're up in arms over it. This is obviously by design. They don't have a South America in those countries where they can just open up the southern border and let them come across. They have a bunch of Muslims. That's why Muhammad's and they are again being enabled way more than the immigrants here are in terms of their parent. Again, if you hear, I've heard from tons of people that they're committing super rapes. They have sexual emergencies and all this stuff, and they're getting off the hook and they're not being punished. I think that's true. But that's what people are saying. And whenever you look at it, London, they call it Londanistan for a reason. It's been converted. And I don't think the people of England, the British people that have been there for generations wanted that. Just as I don't think the Americans, they were in 1965, when America was 89, 90% white still. Do you think most of the population would say, what we need to do? We need to turn the immigration policy on its head and just import people legally. That was before the legal stuff, who are not from Europe, who are not like us. That's planned. That's done because they wanted this. They knew it would happen, especially when they encourage people not to learn the language. That keeps them in their place. And it also, it makes it hard to communicate with people. So we have the situation we have now. And and Europe if anything, is even worse than we are, because apparently these super rapes that they're committing over there. I don't know if it's true, but that's what you hear all the time. We don't see that here necessarily.
I would also add the Ottoman Empire itself was colonized. It colonized places, but they didn't change. Their demographics didn't change. We've had other empires that have existed on Earth that this didn't happen to. I think that what it is it's the ideological shift that happened. Don mentions the Immigration Act of 1965. I think that is true. And Billy, you are right. I mean, colonization does have, shared cultures because of the British influence, especially in places like India and other things. And that is a metric that doesn't need to be ignored. But I would remind you of things like 2012, when the powers that be and Hillary Clinton, the overall ruling class, the overlords, decided to just make Libya a slave trade state again by taking out Gaddafi and creating chaos. One of the, I think, beneficial effects to them was the massive amount of immigrants and refugees that were pushed into Europe. Like they caused chaos in these areas to spill people over and change demographics.
In Ireland, I'm sorry, Tony, Ireland never colonized anyone. They were known as the N-words of Europe, and they were treated that way a long time. So they were mistreated. They never exploited or colonized. Those are my people. They were getting drunk and fighting, and they're having, building a beautiful Emerald Isle. But they haven't told, what did they do to deserve? Why are they being colonized?
We can continue to come up with other reasons as to why this stuff is happening, and everything is valid, right? It's not because I'm looking at the root of the problem here, right? And it can't be ignored. We can't say, it's just because they're bringing in all these other people because they want to do away with whiteness. That's not the entire argument. We can't continue saying that because it's not. So we're always going to find other narratives and other situations that we can stick in and say, well, look at this. And you'd be right for some of them, right? They've used this ultimately to divide and do whatever it is they want to do. But where did it start? How did it start? And even talking here in the United States, what did they want to do with Central and South America? They wanted to turn these, and did effectively, into banana republics. That's what they wanted to do, and they did it. They took over Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico didn't ask to be taken over. Hawaii. Okay, and so inevitably, Mexico. How much of Mexico was taken? It was conquered, is what they say. They conquered the land. So it's different. That's what the alt-right will have you believe. They took this land. There were Mexicans living there. They have Spanish names. Los Angeles, California, San Diego. You know, it baffles the mind. What I'm trying to say is, while some of the arguments that you guys have made are legit, they are not the only ones, and they're far from the root of the problem, in my opinion. There's a lot that goes into it. And when we demonize other people as invaders, it only divides us even further from getting to a point where we can actually push back on this disparity that's clearly, like, I mean, we can't deny it anymore. I'm paying $140 at the freaking supermarket just to get 4 bags and come home. They're taking advantage of us. And by continuing to say, oh, well, these people are bad, and those people are bad, they're only keeping us at each other's throats. That's all I'm saying. Ultimately, there are other reasons than the great replacement here, right? And some accountability and some education is warranted for a lot of the people that take those positions. Is all that I'm saying. Like, we're all in this together, man, at the end of the day. And that's why I love living in New York, because I can see through this 9 times out of 10, because I got everybody here. I got one of my boys down the block is a Muslim. I work with Chinese families. There's a black people and Latino people, Armenian people right down the block. Italians are 15 minutes from me. And we're all cool, and everybody enjoys everybody's culture. You know, but so we could look past there's invasions and all this other stuff. We can, but a lot of people just can't, and they're going to use those narratives against you. I would ask that you attempt, at the very least, to look at things a little bit differently, or try to look at different narratives and explore them and research them and say, hey, maybe there's something to this. You know, on Labor Day, ladies and gentlemen, don't do that on Labor Day. Actually, try to relax on Labor Day. It is. We're in, Tony. Are we done?
Yeah, I got to run because I got to open the shop here in Branson.
We're getting the hell out of here.
We're just getting warmed up. My Pacino.
I'm gonna attempt to sit next to a pool and eat a bunch of stuff I'm not supposed to eat on Labor Day. You know, it's gonna be dope. Tony Arterburn, what are you doing? And tell the people where they can find you.
I'm just gonna be working. I got the new location in Texas. We got an old branch bank. It's got the drive-through and all kinds of stuff. We're doing a Wise Wolf deal there, and having fun with that. So I'll be on the road a little bit. Not saying which day, but I'll be on the road. Traveling, building stuff. So arterburn.gold if you want to find me and my website and my podcast. I got some new shows I'll be working on. I took a little bit of a break. So look forward to seeing you guys next week.
All right. Fantastic. Don Jeffries, the legendary. What's up?
No, it's a good discussion, and these are important issues. A lot of people in the chat, so good to see all you guys there. Yeah, we just have to try to work together and make things better for the people, all the people, and that's what I preach all the time. This being a populist, so people can find me on Substack. My latest one is kind of a tip of the hat to my upcoming book on sports, where I talk about ending the provocatively titled shattering the fraud of black superiority in sports, or athletic superiority, or something. So I'll have tons of data for this, and people will be shocked at it. And so people, and you should. It's already got a lot of people out there waiting for it. People, Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. It's called "I Protest," just like my weekly podcast, which I'm sorry again I missed yesterday.
All right, my name is Billy Ray Valentine. What can I say? What can I even say to that? Don, there's way more things going on in the world. Stop concentrating on this nonsense. You know, there's way more things going on in the world that we can concentrate on. You are, people respect you. People look up to you. Let's take a different turn. I mean, that's all I can say about that. Somebody said New York was a socialist hellhole. Brian, I think it was Brian. New York would break you. You would break in New York. You wouldn't be able to survive. You would fall apart. Like
Billy, and I did well. We did well in New York.
Of course we did. Tony, you're a freaking G. You're a real alpha male. You know, not like these other freaking betas out there that claim to be alpha males, but they're not. They'd come to New York and fall a freaking part, right? But whatever, it's all good. Tony came to New York and lit up the town, is what he did. We had fun. Hey, Tone, we're going to Texas in October, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
We're going to Texas in October.
You know, I got to fly down there, right? It's like 12 hours away.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Billy asked me if I wanted to go to El Paso, and I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, I can. It's like me going to New York. It's a 12-hour drive or something like that from Dallas. What I'll have to do is I'll hop a Southwest flight. You got to pick me up from the airport, but I'll go.
Let's do it, bro. Let's figure it out, man. I'm down, man. So we're going down there. Third Eye Carnival. I think it's October 17th. Not 100% sure, but I will figure it out. All right, and I'm going live at 7 p.m. I hope so. I may not be around. I got to get on a regular schedule for this stuff, but I may not be around tomorrow. But if I am, I'm going live 7 p.m. Eastern on Tony's X, on my X, and of course on Ground Zero Plus. I didn't go live last week. I didn't have any internet, but I plan on doing it this week. We're going to go over some of the immigration stuff, talk about socialism. We're going to talk about Donald Trump taking over Intel, at least 10% of it. You know, New York is socialist. Well, your president is socialist now. Eat that. All right. We'll talk about him calling himself a dictator and saying that people like dictators. We're going to discuss that a little bit. That was very fun this week. So we have a lot. And I think Guard Goldsmith is joining me for the second hour, maybe. So we'll have fun there. Tony, we got to bring you on. So let's make that happen at some point. And that is it. America Unplugged, 12 p.m. Eastern, every Saturday, for the lovers and the haters, for the riders and the dyers. Come in and check us out. 12 p.m. Eastern every Saturday, live on X. And on the podcast, everybody that's listening on the podcast, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Twisted, what's good? How you doing? What's going on? Wheezy, what's good? John Brisson, what's good? Charlie Robinson, Guard Goldsmith, Wayne McCroy. Am I missing anybody?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. All right, let's get up out of here. Burn the place down.
Let me see if I can play us out. Want me to try?
Yeah.
I'll try. See if you can hear it. No.
Okay. There you go. Peace.